Okay, folks, if I may have your attention, we're going to get started. So welcome and thank you for coming to the celebration of life for my wife, Donna Garcia. In case anyone doesn't know me, my name is Scott Albert. I'm sometimes more often known as Donna's husband, sometimes Mr. Garcia, and very often Victoria's dad. And I'm very grateful that you're here. This has really turned out to be a much larger event. Had we known, we might have found a bigger space, but appreciate those of you who are standing. We actually had people from Washington, D.C., Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Virginia, North Carolina, New York, New Jersey, Colorado, Florida, California, Connecticut, Indiana, of course, Pennsylvania. And if I'm missing a state, I apologize in that process. But a great reflection on Donna's life and for you to be here to create this village. The intention was to bring Donna home. She's a product of Philadelphia. We always lived here because of family and the commitment to family. Now, I don't know about most of you, but I haven't been to many of these kinds of events. Actually, I've been to two. They were inspired by the Mosca side of the family and the Garcia side of the family. So I know that, I knew the first time I went to one that this would be right for both of us when the time came. I like it because what I find is that there's a real authenticity in this process. People know Donna in different ways, and by bringing everyone together and by sharing his stories, we get to know more about the same person from many different perspectives. I hope this is going to be a chance for us to learn about Donna, to laugh, and to reflect on who she was. I like that. That's why we're here. One of the things was in that authenticity is I never had to guess what Donna was thinking. Sometimes I didn't even want to know what Donna was thinking, but she was happy to tell me. And I hope that as we go through this, that the stories reflect her generosity, that she was funny, thoughtful, giving, outrageous at times, that she is a product of a family, she's a character from a very loving family, whether you look at the Garcia side, the Mosca side, the Martini side, all of which had great influence on who she is. I also remember the first time I came to one of these, I wasn't quite sure how to respond when people would say something. Like when they finished, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to sit there quietly? You're supposed to applaud? I wasn't quite sure. So I'm going to suggest that as people speak, whether they come up here to speak, and you can see that we're recording, because my 85-year-old mom and my 93-year-old dad can't make it from Arizona, and I'd like to be able to show them. So whether you come up here or you tell a story from your place standing up, if you like what you hear, I'm just going to suggest you snap your fingers. So let's try it. Let's all snap our fingers. Simple enough. So let me set the tone a little bit by telling you a couple of stories. Those of you who know me well, that I really consider myself a storyteller who pretends to be a professional in anything else that I do. I first met Donna on October 21st, 1989. I met her in a soup kitchen in Trenton. She came with her parents on a regular basis to feed the poor, usually the third weekend of the month. And I worked at a boarding school, at a prep school at the time, and I would bring my students to that soup kitchen so that it was a chance to give back to others, to serve, but also because I thought it was an exercise in perspective. I was a school counselor. They complained a lot about their homework and their boyfriends and their girlfriends. But I thought it was really valuable to take some time to realize what can be challenging in the world, particularly when you have an opportunity in a life of privilege. And Donna came. I remember meeting her parents. Actually, on this October event, it was actually the first time that we had a Saturday off from classes, because this prep school had Saturday classes. And I went to, I spoke with the faculty at a faculty meeting, and I said, I'm still going to go down anyway, even though the kids are off and they're not going to be with their parents on this particular event. So anyone who would like to come with me. And one woman came, one English teacher came with her daughter, and as we walked into the back of the soup kitchen to take off our jackets and to prepare to serve a meal, this woman said, "Oh, hi, Scott." And I said, "Hi." I walked to the back. I had never seen her before. And the woman I was with said, "Do you know this woman?" I said, "I've never seen her." Well, apparently she had been keeping an eye on me for about a year. She thought I was with campus ministry, and counseling, I guess it's close enough. I remember meeting her parents, and I could see right off the bat that they were characters, loving characters. And we started talking for a little bit, and she asked me some questions, and she said some things that reflected the fact, like, wow, she kind of understood who I was and where I was coming from. I was pretty impressed. And then she said, "I've never been to the Lawrenceville School." And of course, I'm not always the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I had a feeling that she kind of wanted to see the place. And we used that as an opportunity to get together. I remember our first date. Donna was a very expensive date. We went to the local diner, and she ordered a big plate of French fries with a big dollop of ketchup that she put in the middle. And I had just come off a cross-country bicycle ride. I rode 2,600 miles across the country. And I thought I would impress her by telling her stories about my 2,600-mile bicycle trip. I did notice that she didn't really seem very interested or very impressed by it. And I later found out that she said, because she told me, she said, "You were the most boring first date I ever went on." And it kind of became a thing between us. I said, "Well, honey, I can still see that big plate of French fries with that big dollop of ketchup in the middle. And as your eyes sagged and your nose hit that dollop of ketchup and you blew the first bubble, I just knew you were the woman for me." I remember first meeting Donna's family. It was at the holiday season. And it was in Crestmont Farms. For those of you from Philadelphia, you probably know Crestmont Farms. I remember meeting her brother, Richard. First thing he said to me was, "Hey, Scott, you want to see pictures of Donna's first wedding?" I remember Bruce, her other brother, shaking my hand and saying, "Run." I remember the first time we discussed marriage. It was only about 4 or 5 months after we met. And it was Martin Luther King weekend, I guess. And we were crossing the street. We were going to a Black Baptist church in Princeton. Donna liked to take me to a lot of churches back in those days. And we were about halfway across the street, and she said to me, "So when are we getting married?" I said, "Probably about June." And we did. Throughout our time, for those of you who are old enough to remember George Burns and Gracie Allen, I always felt that that's who we are. She was the great conversationalist. She was the one who could carry a group and move from topic to topic in a way that I really only could marvel at. My way was either to be a storyteller like I am now, or to ask a whole bunch of questions about you to keep the conversation going. And there were times that I was just like totally out of energy, and I would just sit there and marvel. And every once in a while, I would just try to say to her, "Say goodnight, Gracie," as a way for us to try to bring the evening to a closure. I've said to Donna many times, I've said to Victoria, my daughter, many times, that your mother is many things, but one thing is for sure, that she is never dull. The nicest gift, besides Victoria, that Donna ever gave me was I think I was about 41 years old. I had, as I mentioned before, I lived and worked at a prep school. I worked there for 16 years. I was a very recognized person within that school community. And when you leave a boarding school, which is different than most of us when we leave our jobs, you leave your home, you leave your friends, and you leave your work. And it was a time that was, I guess you could say, a dark time for me. I really didn't know. I knew I was a dad, I knew I was a husband, but I really wasn't quite sure who I was outside of that little bubble of the prep school world. And she gave me a little card. It had a little dove on it, and it said, "Be with the weak to make them strong, and with the strong to make them gentle." And she said, "That's who you are. And that's who I've been." So the nicest gift she gave me was to re-anchor me in who I was and who I am. And it was just a card this big. So maybe, as we hear your stories, she did that for you in some way. Maybe she helped you feel strong when you felt weak. Or maybe she helped you feel gentle when you felt strong. We'll see. We'll see what you bring. So I'm going to ask the following. First of all, if you'd like to speak, we're in a Quaker house. Speak as the Spirit moves you. Again, you could either come up here or speak from your seat. If you speak up here, Mom and Dad, you'll get to see them too. And if you just want to stand up and speak from where you are, that's fine too. I'd say almost it's fortunate that the biggest fear, bigger than the fear of death is the fear of public speaking. So we don't have to wait for everyone to speak. I thought what we would do is to try to do either an hour of this, or if I see your eyes getting glazed, we'll stop before then. And then people can eat and talk and celebrate together. Who would like to start?
Donna was my first friend in New Jersey. I had moved from California after our town was flooded, and when I came, I didn't know a soul here. I knew I didn't want to go back to live in New York, so someone said, "Go to Princeton." And I started to work with Donna at the training center at AT&T, and she became my guide. And it's so amazing, Scott, that she really also taught me who I was. She taught me 3 things. I think I can remember them. She taught me to show up. And Donna always did show up. She showed up for me, but she asked me to show up for the world. She taught me to really do what was important to me. So we did a lot of many things together. We were in a book club together. We rug cooked together. We knitted together. We talked about kids together. She was a good friend for many, many, many years. She taught me to enjoy my life, and she's been a good friend throughout my life. I'll miss her.
I got one. I gotta come over here and see the group. Marty Maurer. I grew up with Donna and the twins and Lorraine. God bless. Anyway, many years ago, we went down to Bradley Beach, was it? For a boys' weekend. And Scott came along. I'm a chef. I brought a bunch of food, and it was all meat. Meat. It was a boys' weekend. And we went down there, and anyway, I was going through some things. Anyway, but I was cooking up all these steaks on the grill and doing all this stuff, and it was great fun. We were fishing the whole bit, and Donna comes in, and Scott's over there getting ready to eat a piece of filet mignon. I thought, and I didn't know anything about this, the vegan stuff. Or that he was. I did know about the vegan stuff, but I didn't know he was. But she came in, and I thought she was going to die at that point. What are you doing? Yeah, you can't eat that. By the end of the night, they ended up, because I had a sleep apnea, they ended up throwing me out, picking up my cot or my bed, whatever it was, and they brought me out onto the deck. And the next morning, around 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, the sprinkler comes on. Underneath of me and over top of me. So I thought it was a great story. If I thought Donna was going to die at that point, that was it. God bless you. God live you. You know, you're going to be fine up there. So.
Hi, I'm Hannah Jordan, and this is Jeff. And hello. So we're family friends. Above all, we love the whole family. And now I'm going to cry. Donna, Scott's kept telling me, I want you to meet my girlfriend. I want you to meet my wife. I can't remember exactly when I met her. But I was like, okay, I want to meet her, sure. And we worked at the Lawrenceville School together. And so I finally met her, and it was like, wow. I put this in my Facebook post, so I apologize if any of you have seen this, but scrappy Philly girl and Southern Belle, straight from North Carolina. That's what she called me. I never called myself that. But and we were instant friends, and we really could not have been more different. But somehow it works, and Donna kind of taught me how not to apologize for everything. You know, you grew up in the South, well, at least in my era, and we apologize for everything. So sorry. She just taught me to just own yourself, just be who you are, and I really credit her with a lot of who I am today, which could be good and bad, and I admit that. But anyway, then we're expecting our first children in the summer of 1991. So Victoria and Yates became friends because they had no choice, and and they're still friends. And they still have their choice. And, I will say that Donna, when her friend just said she showed up, I mean, she did show up, because I feel like that maybe I wouldn't have put as much effort. I would have wanted to, but Donna was just like, when are we getting together? I was like, okay, we're getting together. And we did, and we did, and we did, and we always do, and we always will. And I could tell a million gazillion stories, but we have an hour, and that would not be fair. But anyway,
So I wanted to step in and add, and we'll have that. It's a very teacher thing to do, so thank you, Scott. As I said, we have been friends since before we were all couples. I guess Hannah and I were already married. So it's been 30 some odd years. Our family, and it was kind of funny that we came together because of Scott and Hannah. As couples, we clicked, and with our kids, and when you raise your kids together and you do all of that, it all kind of clicks. And over time, it was really kind of a Hannah and Donna show, and Scott and I would try to be quiet off to the side. Sometimes that was not a matter of choice, or we'd run off and do something else, and that was great. And we had a great time as couples as well, so I don't want to say that wasn't there. But I had the privilege in the last couple of years to get to know Donna in a different way. And now I'm going to get emotional. About 6 months after Donna's cancer started, actually less than that, several months after, I started having gastrointestinal problems, which turned out to be intestinal cancer. And so Donna and Scott, as families, were so there for us, and particularly for me. So we went through kind of our first rounds together. We spent a lot of time together, and we formed clubs. So Donna and I had the Cancer Club, and there was the Spouses Club, and they had to form the Spouses Club because they got real jealous that Donna and I would go off on walks together to talk about things, and they were left out. So the spouses had to have a club. And unfortunately, it was a club that we didn't want any more members for. I had tremendous support and continue to have tremendous support, and I remain very blessed that I, at the moment, remain cancer-free. And I'm angry that I don't have my club member anymore to be with. But I have to say that one of the gifts of cancer for me was that I got to know Donna at a very deeper level and at a very quiet and contemplative level that I wouldn't have seen given how big and how out there Donna normally is. So I've been robbed, as many of us have, and I'll have to deal with that anger for a little while. But what can't be taken is the relationship and who she is to all of us, and where that is. And so, Donna, you're here, so we love you, and thanks.
Okay, I think the third couple has to comment on this because it's good time.
Yeah.
I'm Angela Pelusi, and I'm the third campus couple. And my daughter Francesca, you can wave. She's gonna kill me later. We all met on campus at Lawrenceville, and we were the third babies. Yeah. Thank you. And Francesca was born, what, like 9 months?
August.
Yeah,
Yeah,
92. So anyway, they all hung out together, and Victoria was like my other daughter, which was wonderful. We had so many good times together. The photos I could share, oh my gosh, they're just going to be great. I'm going to hold them till they're literally worth something. Like the lipstick, when they came in and the lipstick was all over the face. But Donna was, and she'd come to visit us after we left New Jersey. We live in Illinois now. My husband's a professor at Illinois Wesleyan, but she traveled with business, and I'm coming to Chicago Tuesday, dinner. Okay. Oh, yeah, I was there. But what I loved about it when we were friends together was the coffee thing. Like, I would be perfectly happy just sitting on my couch, not doing anything sometimes. Because I know I look like an extrovert, but I'm really not. I'm really quiet and shy. Shut up. But she'd say, "Come on, let's go." We were both older moms. Like we were feeling like, oh my, this is a lot to run into these energetic people. So, well, we're gonna go. We're gonna have coffee. All right, fine. And then it began. Then what happened was that the whole vegetarian thing happened. And I'm Italian, and you can't not make brujol. You can't, So, and we'd have lots of dinners together. We have lots of pictures of us around a dinner table, right? And one day, Scott's like looking at the meat on the table. I made pasta and pesto and other things. And he's looking at it, and she's looking at him, she says, I see you. And I think I forgot what the meat was. He says, no, Scott, no. And he looks again, and he goes, but it's already dead! It has a point. I mean, oh God, she would get so upset. I didn't really understand that thing until later on, but that was like the funniest darn thing. But I'm so grateful that Victoria, even though these two haven't seen each other since they were 5 and 6. Isn't that amazing? So we have some catching up to do. But I'm so glad that she would come to town and I'd get to see her again. And then Frankie got to see her. We just had dinner, yeah. So it was really quite, no, it wasn't even not quite that long. It was really a wonderful thing, and she was really quite special to me in so many ways. And and you can attest to this too. I can get on a whining binge and kind of like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And she'd say, so what? Well, snap out of it. So what's the worst that can happen? I use that all the time. What's the worst that can happen? Exactly. So I love her very much, and I loved being a part of our couple's family. And what happens is when you move away from your family, you build a new family. So we had all of our, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. All our meals, basically. Yeah, it didn't have to be a holiday, but it was really quite special, and we did accommodate the vegetarian. So.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael Golden, and I'm Scott's uncle. My wife Naomi and I have known Donna since they got married, which would be 28 years. As we got to know her and our relationship evolved, she changed from just being Scott's wife to where we refer to her as our niece, a member of our family, and we loved her. So I'd like to tell you why I found Donna to be such a special and beloved person, and I'm not going to recount specific incidents so much as tell you in overview the kind of person I thought she was. This will involve some background stories. I will try to keep them short, but I ask you to stay involved until I get to how it relates to Donna. Some years ago I was listening to the radio, and the host went into the street to ask passerbys a question. Now, normally the questions asked by a street reporter are usually bland and forgettable, but this time was different. He asked them a challenging and meaningful question. If you could add a commandment to the 10 Commandments, what would that commandment be? So some background. The only commandments you could potentially add are those which define our relationships to each other. And those are: honor your father and mother, don't murder, don't steal, don't rob, don't lie, and don't wrongfully try to get the property of others. So that was the challenge. And I was surprised when no passerby was able to come up with an additional commandment. As I continued to think about it, the 11th commandment came to my mind, although I must confess I don't recall if it was my original thought or whether I read somewhere and adopted it. My nomination for the 11th commandment is, through your efforts, leave the earth better than you found it. Donna lived this 11th commandment. She worked to leave the earth better than she found it, and not by preaching, but by doing. Donna became a vegan over 25 years ago, Yet I never heard her lecture anyone about it, but in her presence, you could just feel her commitment to this way of life. She was an animal rights activist, devoting long hours and donations to the Animal Alliance. Again, I never heard her preach to anyone, but when you saw her devotion to this cause and her sincerity, the way she thought about animals, you knew it was a sincere thing. She cared about reducing pollution, cleaning up the environment, and eating healthy, non-processed foods. She was concerned about the underprivileged and volunteered in soup kitchens. I remember one Christmas day, we went to a church where we served area residents in need of a meal, and I remember how it impacted me seeing the faces of these people, now no longer a newspaper statistic, but as fellow human beings, perhaps down on their luck. Some people talk the good talk on these issues, but Donna walked the walk with her actions. Donna, you were a champion of the earth. There is a word in Yiddish, and that word is mensch, that may be the highest compliment that can be paid to a person, because it's only said about a person whose character sets a high standard that is to be admired and emulated. It is not given out very often, one person calling another a mensch. As I describe the qualities of a mensch in more detail, I want you to think about how they relate to Donna. A mensch is a person of high integrity and honor. They always seem to know the right thing to do. Their moral compass is built into their DNA. They stand for principles to better society and will march, vote, or canvass in support of them. A mensch will always have your back. They will never say one thing to your face and another behind your back. When you ask a mensch for help, they will redo their schedule to be there for you. When you need assistance, they will come to you even without you asking. This is not to say a mensch is perfect and never falters, but when they do, their strong foundation quickly returns them to their core values. In the same context, was Donna perfect? No. But Donna lived consistent with the way I defined a mensch, and as I observed the humanity with which Donna treated the people she chose to be close to, I would call her a mensch. When Donna herself needed to navigate her own medical treatment, all the people she had befriended, assisted, or helped over the years virtually lined up to help her and reward her kindnesses to them. To close, I'd like to read you a short poem called When I'm Gone, whose authorship I don't know, but I believe Donna would be very pleased to remember her in this way. When I'm gone, look for me in the people I have known. When you miss me, let me look through your eyes, your mind, and your acts of kindness. When you want to honor me, use your powers to mend the broken hearts around you. When you wonder where I am and want to feel my presence, give my love away. The greatest gift you can give to your departed loved one is to take some of the principles they lived by, bring their insights into your own life, and then impart them to the next generation. Their teachings that you share will be an eternal legacy by which they will be remembered. Donna, you have enriched the lives of all of my family members. You have enriched the lives of dozens of other people. You were a champion for the earth. You will live on within us.
My name's Emily. As many of you know, I met Victoria on the first day of first grade over 20 years ago. I walked into the classroom and decided that she was going to be my best friend. I essentially chose her from a crowd of nervous, awkward 7-year-olds. But what I didn't realize was that I was also choosing her parents. And I was choosing Donna. And I'm so glad that I did. Over the years, Donna became like a second mother to me. She also became a mentor and a friend. Donna was... Can you come up with me? Donna was unapologetically unique, and she did things before they were considered cool or trendy. She was a feminist, an animal rights activist, and a vegan. She taught me not to worry about what people thought and to stick up for what I believed in. I took a trip to Ireland with the Garcia Albert family in 2010, and it was a fantastic vacation, and not just because Victoria and I were of drinking age.
Although it helped.
One notable highlight was when Donna, out of all the things that we could be doing in this beautiful foreign country, found a vegan no-meat and greet and decided we had to go. So, of course, we went and we mingled with the other vegans just to make her happy. Also, to accommodate the fact that vegan restaurants were scarce in Ireland, Donna always made sure to have a DIY lunch station in the back of our rental car. We would literally park the car and make falafel wraps. She had a cutting board and everything, and I have the pictures to prove it. I interviewed Donna in 2015 for an investigative healthcare journalism assignment I had in grad school. It had to be about a patient who was currently navigating the healthcare system. We met at a Starbucks in Penn Station and ordered our 800-calorie coffees before getting started. And this was, of course, after Donna gave up her beloved Dunkin' Donuts for something a little more decadent. I started off by asking her, as a child, what she wanted to be when she grew up. A nun, she said, without any hesitation. Why? Because she wanted to get out of the house and knew that this was the only way to do it with her parents' support. Regarding dealing with the healthcare system, she was very grateful to her sister, who is a nurse, who she referred to as Nurse Ratchet, in a complimentary way. Because Nurse Ratchet, she said, got stuff done. She also affectionately spoke about her brothers, who nagged the doctors on her behalf, and who she thought the doctors probably considered a real pain in the neck, in a good way. As a through-and-through feminist, she also had quite a few things to say about the male doctors, who often spoke to Scott instead of her, an unconscious bias that she, of course, very quickly corrected. As we were wrapping up the interview, we talked about how the future is unknown, and sometimes the universe has a way of knocking you over the head and saying, this is what's happening, deal with it. We chatted a bit more, and then I interviewed Scott, who Donna and I had forced to sit a few tables away from us at the Starbucks. And then soon after that, I left and went to class. About 45 minutes later, Donna texted me. I don't remember her exact words, but she wrote that even though the future is unknown, she's certain about the past. A past in which she traveled the world, everywhere except Africa and the Mideast. A past in which she married a wonderful man who had almost all of the qualities on her list. And a past in which she gave birth to and raised the most extraordinary woman you will ever meet. And that's enough for me, she said. That's more than enough.
Well, I'm actually going to share something on behalf of someone who couldn't make it, which is sort of in line with the last few points Emily made. And I'd like to quickly note before I do so that all of the beautiful photos that you see in the hallway, on the tables, and that you'll see after we wrap this up in a slideshow are all Emily's doing. really beautiful work, and something that, I don't think my dad and I had the strength to do at the time, nor the creativity. So, very appreciative of that. So this is a story shared by Terry Mason, who's part of my mom's New Jersey book club. And then when she moved to Florida with some of the bunch of people migrated down to Florida at one point, the Sarasota Book Club, known as Jersey South. Years ago, when Donna and I were closer, she was unhappy because the men she met were not, well, just were not. She came to me and was sad. "What am I doing wrong?" she asked. I said, "Donna, you are not doing anything wrong. You are just not telling the universe what you need." I suggested she write down the top 25 things that she wanted in a life partner. She said she did. Things went on, and one day she called me and said, "I have a problem." I asked her what it was. She told me that she had met a wonderful man at a food kitchen or soup kitchen, but that he only had 23 of the 25 things that she wanted in a man. She wanted to know what I thought she should do. So I told her, marry him immediately. She did. And soon there was a baby, and Donna was, at least as far as I knew, never unhappy about being loved in her whole life again. I don't know if you knew that story, Scott, but it's true. And we were all, the we being the Jersey Book Club that I started and Donna was a charter member of, absolutely in love with her light in this world. Donna was just joy. She was beloved by all of us in this book club. She was a lovely laugh, smile, and kindness entering her room before she ever took one step inside. We were always happy to be around her. Donna and I fell apart just due to distance, nothing else. But I always, always admired her and always anticipated any visit, knowing that we would all be happier after spending any time with her.
This is all way too serious. Maybe I knew the wrong, different person. And for all you little guys, am I allowed to swear? No. Okay, so I'll have to spell. Okay. She would always call me U-S-H-I-T. Okay? And I would always call her, you're an ASS. It always seemed, it was like, with Donna, it was like a joke. It was like you could pick on her feminism, you could pick on this, you could pick on that, just to get her going. She had a personality. Like most of us all do. Maybe I don't, maybe I'm saying the wrong things, but the thing is that I love my sister. Just like I love my brother and my other sister. And their kids, and and extended family, and people that aren't even related to me. But with Donna, it was like, or at least our relationship was one of fun and laughter. But it didn't have to be, I'm this or you're that, and I would just end the conversation. Go have a McDonald's cheeseburger. It's like, But on the serious side is that over the last couple of weeks. Well, let's get back to the day. I went over to the hospital early, and then I drove home, and it was like 11:45, and Carol, my wife, tells me in the driveway, what's going to happen? And I get in the car, and I drive for 40 minutes back to the hospital, and I'm thinking, I was so optimistic when I left. What happened, So, of course, we were all there as a family in a sense, and then, and looking at her, all I could think of was the tasty cakes my father used to bring up by the caseload for her when she was in college. She was a horrible cook let's forget about this vegan stuff, but I mean, she couldn't even make lasagna. I mean, she tried your mother's lasagna. I mean, it was, what, are you kidding me? Where's the dog? It's like, and I think that's why she became a vegan. That's my personal opinion. You know what I mean? It's, I loved her dearly because she was my sister, and I loved her as a person. But I don't think of her every minute and every day like these two guys are going to. And I told Scott the other day, it's like in 6 months we can sit down and talk about Donna or something. Meaning it doesn't, Scott said to me, you're, something about accepting me into the family now, meaning that Donna's gone. And I said, what, are you kidding? Once you're one of us, man, you're one of us. I mean, it's like that's how it is. So I think the bigger picture is that we have to have, because Donna did laugh. Everything wasn't so serious. When she was serious, no doubt about it, just like we all are. She had her beliefs, no doubt about it. But she could also laugh when you just kind of nudged her a little bit, and that was just because that's how we are. We just nudge each other to get them to be set off. Scott and Victoria, they're thinking about it every day, and they're going to continue to think about it every day. Everybody in this room isn't. So my heart goes to them, because we have to, and Donna would agree with it. We have to look at the living. The past is the past. I would have never thought it would have ended like this, but it did. So let's move forward. Was that all right?
That was all right.
What is this stuff? I can't click my fingers. Where's Rob? I have to kiss him.
So hey everyone, I'm Rob. I'm Tori's boyfriend of coming up on 4 years now. So, I want to just tell. Yeah, all right. Sure, I think I just kind of want to reflect a bit on what Donna's given and what she's meant to me, and my experience knowing her. And I remember back 2014, 2015, before I'd met her. The stories I'd heard of Donna from Tori and Tori's friends and Tori's, I met Scott after, so I guess not him. But from all these people was just this legendary person, truly legendary, this enormous personality, almost like a diva who the world, certainly their worlds, seemed to kind of revolve around. And so I remember when...
You mean the boss, right?
The boss. A boss is truly the word. Her friends have used to call her, continue to call her like a boss, and she was a boss. And so I remember when I was going to meet her for the first time, I was kind of terrified. I was like, how am I going to engage this person? How am I going to, exist and interact with this boss? And when I got to know her, I don't know, that just kind of faded away, and the woman who I got to know, was still absolutely a boss and a diva and all these things, but, the world didn't revolve around her. She, cared so much and radiated so much out into the world that, I don't know, it's remarkable. And I think, I used the word legendary, but I think the level of compassion and consideration and giving and just care for other humans and animals too, maybe more so, is truly legendary. And I think I want to reflect a bit on, the things she's given me, because I don't use the words life-changing lightly, but it's been truly, was truly life-changing. I mean, she gave me, as I'm sure she's given a lot of you by the sounds of it, a new perspective on food and diet and vegetarianism, which I'm 95% there, but my life has been changed in my outlook and my health because of that. She gave me or perspective on spirituality and meditation, and I'm at the point now where I don't feel good if I don't meditate in the morning, and that if you told 18-year-old me that would not be a thing 18-year-old me would ever expect.
Victoria, he's 18.
Yeah, I'm 18. She gave my Uncle Dennis, when he was diagnosed with cancer last year, everything she knew. At the same time, she was going back into her own battle with the disease on treatments and therapies and cannabis and everything she knew, and she just gave and gave, and she gave me Tori, who in turn she gave all these things, and who herself keeps on giving, and the cycle just goes on. And like, I don't know, I think it's just worth reflecting on and worth me talking about, because it truly is legendary. And yeah, I don't know. It's a hole in your heart when she's gone, but I miss you, Donna.
I want to go back in time a little bit, because we're talking about different perspectives of my cousin Donna. So I'm going to go back a little bit to talk about the family. I often think that maybe that I am the least of all the members of my family, and I really do think that. I tell my wife all the time about how wonderful my cousins are, about how great they've been to my family, to my mother, when all these years when my mother was alive. Laura, the Uncle Tommy's kids, they're just great people. And Donna was one of those. But I'm going to go back in time about this family that we have. We talk about Donna being a character. I don't know that there's anybody in our family that's not a character. When I married my wife, she had not met my family, and the first time she met them was at a...
Oh, please don't.
Donna's mother, Pearl, who was probably the craziest person I ever met in my life, attacked my wife on the first time she met her. Asked her 8,000 questions about who she was, what she was doing. My mother comes running up and said, "Stop, Pearl, stop." Anyway, to make a long story short, that's where Donna got this stuff. And my Uncle Mike was probably the worst. And you talk about needling somebody. Richard talked about, my Uncle Mike would needle Pearl to the, it was just an insane family, great family, wonderful people. Donna was one of them. Just an incredible group of people, this family that I belong to. We don't see each other often enough. Time goes by, and it just, some of us, we're getting older. Some have passed. My cousin Samuel died. I saw him, a couple weeks before he passed away. Amazing people, just amazing people. But Donna was this. They talk about being bossy. Before she even met Scott, he said she was a cheap date. I'm in New York on business. She tells me she's going to be in New York. She wants to meet me there. She tells me that I'm taking her to the Russian tea room, and I'm taking her to see Greece. She told me. So she gets there, and I thought she was kidding. She says, "No, we're going." And so I'm taking her to the Russian tea room, which I could care less about. She was not a vegan at that time, by the way. I remember. She was not. And we had to go see the, Greece. But that's who Donna was. She was pushy. She was They came to my house one time, and my wife said, "What are we going to shoot?" I said, "Look, if she can't find anything in the refrigerator, she can go to the store and get something." I mean, this is what we have. But she was always alive. I mean, alive, like her parents were. Her parents were. When I tell you they're an insane couple, I mean, I'm talking, you'd have to meet Mike and Pearl. You'd have to see them sit down and talk to each other, and you wouldn't believe it. I'll tell one quick story about Pearl, because this is what Donna was like. Pearl, nothing bothered her, because Mike would do all these, nothing would bother her. So I'm going to tell a real quick story about my mother and Pearl used to go back and forth about all kinds of things. So one time they're going to go to Florida to visit my Aunt Josephine. So they go to visit Aunt Jo, and my mother's all upset about Pearl. They're fighting. I don't know what's going on between the two of them. I'm not there, but I hear these stories. So Aunt Jo is very, very frugal. She cuts a little piece of pound cake, and she puts it over here. She puts it. My mother hands one to Aunt Pearl. Aunt Pearl flings it across the room. Says, "I don't want any." And my mother turns around to Aunt Jo and says, "Pearl doesn't want any." Well, that's what Donna was like.
Spence. Red, how are you? I haven't seen Scott's parents in
And they're not here, so.
35 years,
yeah,
but they're
okay.
in there.
All right, yes, they are, yes, they are.
I was Scott's roommate in college. So. I'm going to read a letter from Steve Monroe. He says, my memories of Donna Garcia are inextricably linked to Scott Albert. This is largely due to the enduring influence Scott has had on my life. By extension, Donna became a central figure of paramount importance. I remember being homesick, indeed lovesick, 14-year-old sitting on a couch in Scott's counseling office at Lawrenceville Prep School. I was talking to Scott about a girl with whom I was enamored. This girl's relative indifference toward me proved tormenting. Scott offered suggestions about how I might test the waters and gently express my affection. This scenario was replaced innumerable times over my 4 years at Lawrenceville. Monthly, perhaps weekly, I would sit at Scott's couch bawling over another girl who didn't like me back. Scott's patience with me, his acceptance of my lovelorn heart carried me. Then came the day when Donna entered the picture. This powerful, driven, smart, independent beauty with a biting wit. More than that, a woman who embodied my own activist ambitions informed by Scott, who championed my effort at mobilizing support for the hungry and homeless in nearby Trenton and in Washington, D.C. I was honored by their invitation to be a witness on their marriage certificate. 20 tormented, lovesick years later, I met someone. This one did like me back. Good thing, because my wife is an undeniable echo of the countless beautiful qualities of Donna. Scott and Donna honored me again by making a trek to Ohio for Alana and my wedding. It was poetic beauty to have them there and know that in Alana I discovered the ideals of Donna. Imitation is apparently the sincerest form of flattery. As such, like Scott, I am now a therapist. I have my own office with a couch on which sit many a lovelorn teen. I may not state it explicitly, but when I speak to these teens about the qualities of attachment and love, commitment, safety, nurturing, empathy, and trust, it is clear to me that Donna was the torchbearer who guided me to my love. Steve Monroe. I need to say one other thing. I met Donna obviously through Scott, and when Scott was telling his story about being in the diner, of course I was razzing him on what he was really trying to sweep her off her feet by taking her to a diner. But I think one of the things you would know about them as a couple is that Donna was out there, you could see the love in her very, very quickly. Scott is an acquired taste.
My name's Louise Winsky, and I've probably known Donna longer than a lot of other people here. We both started high school at the same time. I first met Donna in 1964. That summer, because we were both at what would be called orchestra camp. They would have 6 weeks before you started your freshman year. Neither one of us played the instruments that we wound up having to play when we got into orchestra. I started out as an accordion player. Donna was probably a piano player. I became a trombone player. She became a trumpet player. And for 4 years, I sat in back of her while we had orchestra rehearsals and concerts and everything that way. I saw Donna a couple times during our summer reunions or when we would get together. But it was Facebook that brought us all back together. Donna and Scott joined us, I guess, 2 years ago we started an annual brunch. And we all met at New Hope, and that was the first time I got to meet Scott and everything. Kept in contact with Donna, and she said to me, at that point I was president of the Alumni Association at St. Hubert's, and she said, do they have a lunch program at St. Hubert's? And I said, I really don't know. And she says, well, the public school has it, and the kids can, if they can't afford lunch and everything. I said, I really don't know, but I can arrange for you to meet the new president of the school. So she says, I'd really like that if you could do that. and we met at a diner. She must have had this thing for diners, I guess. And we met for lunch, and I introduced her to Liz Ann Pando, who's the president there, and who was only the president at that point for about a year and a half. And Donna looks at her and says, "So, do they have something there for kids that can't afford lunch or whatever?" And Liz Ann said, "Well, we really don't." And Donna says, "Well, you really should." And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Liz Ann doesn't know me that well. And now she's getting to know Donna, and she doesn't know Donna that well, but she's going to learn to know Donna. So Donna wound up saying, "Well, you know, is there any way to do this?" And Liz Ann says, "Oh, I think we might be able to, but, you know, I'm new there, and we've got a new development person there, but I think we can wind up doing this." And then Donna wound up saying, "Well, you can always," and her generosity comes out, "I will wind up providing the seed money if you can wind up putting this together." Well, needless to say, there is a lunch voucher program now at the school that was started through the seed money that Donna provided for it. And while there's, when Donna and I were at the school, our graduating class had 921 girls. It was an all-girl Catholic high school. When we were freshmen, there were 3,600 students there. There's about 600 students there now. Tuition, when we were there, you didn't pay anything. The parishes did. Tuition now is about $8,000 a year. Some of the girls work 2 jobs in order to help supplement what their parents are paying. So this is where the idea for the vouchers came into play for it. They got the voucher program off the ground. The kids who need something can go to the principal and get a voucher that they can use in the bookstore to get either a ramen noodle or a mac and cheese that they can heat up in the microwaves that are around. And the best part is none of their classmates know that they're on this program, which was fantastic. I found out that they wound up going and putting this to the Archdiocese, and what is happening now that the Archdiocesan office is now reimbursing the school for what they wind up putting out for these vouchers. So it's because of Donna that her legacy is going to keep on going on at St. Hubert's, and the fact that these girls now can wind up having a lunch that they might not have had before. So that's to me, that's Donna. Unfortunately, and this is part of the thing, our 50th reunion is coming up in June, and she's not going to be there. So that's going to be the hard part.
Hi, everyone. I'm Annie Trinkle, and I'm the Executive Director of Animal Alliance, and I'm here to talk today about Donna's legacy gift to Animal Alliance and all the good work she did with us. Similar to the school lunch program, you basically told the same story of Animal Alliance. I met Donna 16 years ago through our mutual love of animals. I brought Max over, who turned out to be an irascible, he was Donna in the canine form. But in any case, I said to Donna, you know, I'm working in the corporate world, I'm doing this little volunteer work on the side with this animal rescue. I'm thinking maybe of starting my own animal rescue. And she said, well, first of all, if you really love animals, you should be a vegan. So I was like, what? And at the time, I was a very self-righteous vegetarian. I thought I was doing my part. And she was like, oh, no, you have to be a vegan. So P.S., 15 years ago, I became a vegan. But she said, first you have to do that. And she said, it's kind of what other people are saying. She basically said, like, snap out of it. You can do that. And I said, like, what? Leave my really successful job in New York and start a nonprofit animal shelter? I would need, like, a board of trustees. She goes, I'll be on your board. So P.S., in 2001, I took a leave of absence that I never went back to work. And Donna became my first board member and only resigned recently due to her failing health. And in that time, I could always count on Donna to basically give me no-nonsense wisdom along the way. So unbelievably, she helped shepherd Animal Alliance to become one of New Jersey's largest private animal shelters. And 9 years ago, when I wanted to open a spay-neuter clinic for low-income people, no one on the board wanted to do that except Donna. and she led the effort, and Planned Parenthood became reality. So Donna's legacy gift cumulatively is the 15,000 pets that have been adopted to date, all the ones that will be happening going forward, all the spays and neuters. Donna had a soft spot for people of low, no, and moderate means, and she was very, very instrumental in making sure that they have access to accessible, affordable veterinary care for their pets. So that is Donna's legacy. Thank you.
I'm going to quickly share. Grandma. I didn't prepare anything for today. I didn't think I would actually share, but as I've thought about it more, and I think about the key qualities that I have, inherited from her, one word really stuck out, and I wanted to just quickly talk about that. So the word's integrity, and I had the actual definition that I was looking at on my phone. The quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. And when I think about that, it takes various forms. There's one example in particular which was so small but still so many years later resonates with me. I think I was in 6th or 7th grade, and it was a Friday night, and I had plans to go to the movies with one of my friends, Ian Wiggins. And Emily Silver over here invited me to a Q102 concert, which was way cooler. And I was like, Mom, like, I want to like ditch the movie plans and go to the Q102 concert. It's way cooler. She was like, nope. Nope. You made a commitment. You made a commitment. This is the right thing to do. Now, if you had, if you were actually sick or you had a real reason, but you're not going to just lie to him and say, I want to stay home. That's not who you are. And at the moment, I was kind of pissed off about it. But reflecting back, that has really informed how I try and lead my life now. Thinking about what is the right thing to do. Thinking about others' feelings. And not doing what is just beneficial for me. And I think this moral compass, it feeds into how I try and be a leader in work. It feeds into how I try and give back in my community. And that is all because of her. That of anything, I think, is something that is invaluable. I never went without. There was really never anything that I didn't want, or that I wanted and couldn't have. But this is something that money, no matter the amount of money, could buy. And for that, I am so thankful and so grateful for that lesson, because it's really shaped me to try and mirror her by leading with integrity and with a moral compass. So that's all.
It's time to say goodnight, Gracie. So, a couple of final thoughts. With a room this crowded and a desire to show off a wonderful slide program done by my second daughter, Emily, we're going to encourage that in just a moment or two that you help yourself to some food and make yourself as comfortable as you can in this overcrowded room. Wanted to thank you again for coming. When I do a lot of training of teachers these days, I try to teach teachers how to make schools more humane and kind places for kids. And in teaching the teachers, I always conclude a session by an old African saying. It says that your greatness is not in what you have, but what you give. Your greatness is not in what you have, but what you give. So I want to thank you all for sharing your greatness with us today and sharing the greatness my wife, Donna Garcia. You've made this a day to remember, I hope, for all of us. So thank you all. Enjoy the food. We'll set up the slideshow for those who want to watch our lives, Donna's life, throughout. Maybe we can even open the doors and bring in some fresh air. But thank you all. Help yourself.
Turn to the south.